Hi everyone, Jessie here. Thank you for joining me today on my first brief little episode of Dentista Diaries. I have been wanting to start a podcast for a while. I actually have like a smaller podcast that I abandoned for like a year. At first I would record my dental school anatomy notes and put them in a podcast format on Spotify, which I thought was super helpful. Just for rehashing and reviewing notes. And then, dental school catches up to me and I kind of dropped that. And as some of you know, I am being, the word force is funny, but I am in remediation right now for a class that I actually passed last semester due to some discrepancies in the syllabus. Trying to get that all hashed out. Hopefully the appeal, I'm still going through it. Hopefully, it goes in my favor. If not, then I hope that this changes something for future dental students and brings stuff, to admin / course directors / professors awareness that can be edited or improved for future dental students, right? So I have a midterm this morning for that. And I've already studied for this thing and taken it like 6 months ago, and I don't remember much from it except that it was really hard. So I pulled up my notes from 6 months ago, and I'm like, I cannot study this. I started, rewriting this all out, and I was like, this is gonna take me forever. So I decided to bring back my podcast, and I was like, what if I just read through the study guide and talked through it like I was teaching somebody, which actually helped a lot because there were some things that I know I wasn't 100% confident on. And as I was doing this, material from the test ended up slowly coming back into my brain. And some things I was like, yeah, I remember this being on a test, and I remember kicking myself in the freaking testing room because I thought that I went over this, but clearly not because I can't differentiate the two right now. So hopefully that's not a problem in a few minutes here when I take the test, but I really just want to start the week off right by uploading this first little brief episode where I introduce myself and I introduced kind of the goals, what I want for this podcast, etc. So, yeah, as most of you may know, I'm Jessie Gomez. My full name is Jessica, but since I was little, I go by Jessie. This is actually the first year that I've actually allowed people to call me Jessica without correcting them. When I met my boyfriend last year, almost 2 years ago now, he just calls me Jessica, and he's never really called me Jessie. He claims that, full disclosure, we met on Tinder, and he claims that my name on Tinder is Jessica, but I know for a fact I would never put that as my name, ever in a million years. I never address myself as that. I think more so it has to do with his ex-girlfriend's dad's name being Jessie, so he didn't want to call me that. Which is fine, honestly, because I thought, at some point I was going to have to embrace Jessica, right? I could always be Dr. Jessie. But Dr. Jessica also sounds a little bit more professional. And I bet you also, at some point through this podcast, I'm going to have an episode about professionalism, the word professional, the beef that I have with the word professional, the expectations of what it means to be professional, because in my opinion, I think it's pretty classist. I think it's pretty white aiming and, ableist at times as well, and I just have beef with it. And so we'll probably end up discussing this at some point, right? So like I said, I just wanted to make a podcast where I talk more about the life aspect of dental school and being a dentist. Sorry if you heard any movement. That is my cat who just jumped up on my desk and is trying to eat my succulent, and hopefully he doesn't because I'm right here watching him. This is a big thing that they're trying to eat. So maybe I can just hold it and it could just be my little potted. It could just be my little potted plant that I hold throughout the rest of the show. So my idea for this podcast is that I invite guests. At first I was thinking women only. And I might just stick to that idea just because us women in dentistry, us minority, disabled, underrepresented women in dentistry need a safe space to talk and to hear and to listen and to feel heard, right? I went to an all-girls high school. I actually transferred there during my sophomore year of undergrad of high school. And at first, I was disgusted by the thoughts of being surrounded by girls all day, every day. I was pretty boy crazy growing up, and maybe a symptom of my ADHD, may not be, but so I hated the idea of that. But after I graduated, I just wish that I could do this 3 years over again, maybe even the fourth, my freshman year starting out at my all-girls private school. I could do without the private Catholicness of it all. no offense to anyone who's religious, I am not religious in any aspect of my life. And that will probably end up coming up because I have had a few born again experiences. I was raised Catholic, and I was pretty involved in youth ministry in high school. But, over time I've just learned that I trust science. But, that's another discussion in itself. Anyways, so I would love, hopefully this is not distracting to people, but I would love to invite, some of my closest girl classmates. I apologize. Oh my God. Heck, move out of the way. Okay, let me pause this. I also just wanted to do a quick check to make sure that my microphone was actually working, and I think it is, so that's good. Anyway, so, Disa Diaries. I would love to highlight some of my amazing, awesome classmates, to hear more about their stories, hear more about, yeah, we're all in dental school together, right? But hearing more about their personal experience in dental school. I've kind of come to this weird realization that, we're all in the same universe, right? But the other day, I was like walking to my apartment with my boyfriend, right? And I looked down the hallway, and the other side of the apartment, there's a couple, they're just sitting, and they kind of look like in distress. And I was just thinking, it's kind of crazy that I have no idea what's going in their head right now. They have no idea what's going in my head right now. And how funny is it that our brain is like the center of everything, right? I know the Egyptians used to think the heart is, and to a certain point it is, but the reason why I'm here right now talking to you guys, the reason why I'm, on my iPad recording in this very apartment in Iowa City, the reason why I decided to put on these purple colored scrubs today, all of that is because of the processing in my brain power of my brain. I really like the brain, if you didn't notice. And I was gonna, after first semester, I was gonna get a tattoo, this really cute tattoo I want, of like a one line where I might have a brain, just kind of be like, hey, shout out, Miss Brain, Miss Girl, thanks for getting me through dental school this first year, but then, this whole remediation thing happened, and then I ended up having no money from being in school all summer, so, hopefully, little Miss Jessie gets her brain tattoo soon, because I do really, really want that. I was a psych major. My mom has Chiari malformation, which is a brain and skull deformity. I have ADHD, general anxiety disorder. I just really, really like the brain. It's very important to me and my family, and I think it should be respected by tattooing it permanently on my body. So yeah. Anyways, so I would love to have my fellow dental classmates on here. I would love to interview professors. I'd love to interview residents. I have some ideas from professors and residents I would love to reach out to that I know can give me their own, and our listeners, their own personal, insightful view on the field of dentistry and what it means to be a woman in the field of dentistry. Obviously, I'm going to tailor to personal needs. I'm really excited. We're going to touch on some really, from the people I have lined up so far, we're going to touch on some really, really exciting things. We're going to talk about dental trips and dentistry in other countries outside of the United States. We're going to talk about, the pre-dental application process, what people did during our gap years, how we believe our gap years benefited us. Because I'm a pro-gap year lady, and a lot of people are not pro-gap year. I'm very pro-gap year. And we're going to learn why, and hopefully this can help pre-dents figure out, what they want, why they think they want a gap year or not, stuff like that. We're also going to hear about some really fun stuff. Some stuff that, is pretty, tea, I'd say. I'd like to hear about some more perspectives on dating inside your class. Dating kind of as dental student as a whole, I think is very important to talk about. Once I began dental school, I entered into the world of fiancés and husbands and wives and changing your last name and all that, which I've also come to realization is a special practice that only women usually have to deal with, right? And I saw this quote online that was like, a woman has never had a last name or name of their own. And that, like, that made me, like, lay in my bed and stare at the wall for, like, 5 minutes, like, shaking. Not really, but, it was just a realization that I had where I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. And, I can believe however much I want that maybe, like, Gomez isn't my last name of my own, but I think that deep down inside, I'm a Gomez. I'm always going to be a Gomez. And this is something that I want to talk more about. I don't really ever have plans of changing my last name in terms of work. I'm always going to be Dr. Gomez. When it comes to marriage, I do believe, and I don't want to, I guess everyone knows Avery's last name on most social media is like Haley, whatever. He probably wants to stay more in the shadows, but not like he's going to listen to this anyway, so he's probably not even going to know that we're discussing his last name right now. So I do believe that I am going to hyphenate my last name, personally. So I'll be Jessica, what is that? Jessica Gomez Kaylee, right? For our kids, not really sure yet. I do think it's important for them to have Gomez in their last name. And I think that's what we're going to end up doing. We're going to end up hyphenating. But I just have a feeling that we're not going to pick very easy to digest or, first names or first names that are going to be kind of unique. So we're going to see how we don't want the same at all. But for example, we're going to see how like chrysanthemum Gomez Kaylee Gomez sounds. So, definitely nature-y names for sure. But it's also hard because I don't want, and I apologize to any white listeners I have right now, but I don't want to give my kid an overtly white name. I understand now they're going to be 50% white. But again, my Gomez heritage, my Mexican heritage is very important to me, and hopefully I will instill that importance into my children. I've spent so long. I am 24 years old now. I've spent 24, okay, well, knowingly, I've probably spent around 20 years of my life, I don't even want to say scrutinized because I feel it's too strong of a word, but really being scrutinized because of my skin color. I've always felt like I've had to prove my identity. A lot of people don't think that I'm Mexican, and over time that really hurt me, and I learned that it doesn't matter what other people think, it only matters what I think, right, and what I know. But it's very frustrating in the field of dentistry to always have to prove yourself, right? I feel like I always have to prove myself because of my ethnicity, because of my gender, because of my race, because of my socioeconomic upbringing and background, because of my disabilities. And that's not a fun feeling to feel like you're always having to prove yourself to people who don't really even know you, and clearly aren't looking at you through an equal lens, the same lens that they're looking at every other student or dentist through, right? So I really think that highlighting these stories, these underrepresented stories, these stories that you don't really get to hear much, these stories that are funny and entertaining and all that can really bring some much needed unity to the women and future women in the field of dentistry. So I'm really excited. I'm definitely going to be, uploading more often in the summer. In about a month, a little bit over a month, I might be starting school again. But hopefully, this is something I could keep going on intermittently. I think for the sake of my mental health, I need a new hobby. I like hearing myself talk. I need an outlet. And, same thing for my counterparts and colleagues. So I think it's going to be pretty refreshing to, be on the topic of dentistry during the school year with this pod, but not as how we normally would in school, talking about millimeter by millimeter and all that. So, yeah, now with that being said, I actually have to go take this dreaded midterm, right? So good luck to me and my classmates, and I'm hoping that this time around is a lot easier than it was 6 months ago. Can't remember if I failed or not. I think I passed. I'm pretty sure I passed. I can go look, which is nice here at my school. We can still have access to all of our old grades and classes, but maybe I don't want to put that number into my head just yet, and just hopefully I do better. So this time around, 6 months later. So everyone, sorry, I just kicked something. Everyone have a good rest of your day, good rest of your summer, and I will see you in a few days with our first official episode interviewing a guest. So I'm super excited. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Bye.